want to sit with us?
Oh, yes.
Yeah? Okay. One front.
Tai laba diena visiems šią popietę. Sveikinuosi su mūsų festivalio lankytojais. Esu Rūta Eidukevičienė, Kauno literatūros savaitės vadovė. Ir šiandieną labai džiaugiuosi galėdama pristatyti tikrai ypatingą mūsų renginį, ypatingą festivalio rubriką, kurią pirmą kartą surengėme praeitais metais. Ir pagalvojome, kad tikrai verta ją tęsti ir kartu. Ši rubrika yra mums labai svarbi, kada scenoje vienu metu susitinka keli rašytojai iš skirtingų regionų. Tai šiandieną turime Judith Zander iš Vokietijos, Cimafiejeva iš Baltarusijos, Martina Vidaić iš Kroatijos ir Haahtela iš Suomijos. Tai praeitom dienom turėjote galimybę išgirsti jų skaitimus, jų tekstus atskirai, o šiandieną rašytojai diskutuos kartu, o pokalbį moderuos Karolis Vyšniauskas, kuriam aš toj perduosiu žodį, bet taip pat norėčiau visus pakviesti ir į vėlesnius vakaro renginius. Festivalis tęsiasi, jis tęsis šiandien vakare, tęsis rytoj dar, ko ne visą dieną ir menininkų namuose ir kitose miesto vietose, tai labai visų laukiame. Ir kaip žinote, mūsų festivalio renginiai yra nemokami, bet būtume labai dėkingi, jeigu, tikėdamiesi, galvodami, kad ir kitais metais norėsime sulaukti svečių, tai visada būsime dėkingi už jūsų paramą, kaip tai padaryti, kaip tapti festivalio bičiuliu, galite rasti mūsų svetainėje. Tai perduodu žodį ir dar kartą dėkoju mūsų partneriui Goethe-Institutui Vilniuje, kuris kartu su projektu Perspektyv dovanoja mums šį renginį. Tai ačiū labai ir linkiu malonaus klausimo.
Ačiū Rūta ir mes tuoj perėsim į anglų kalbą. We will switch to the English language in a second. Aš tiesiog noriu visiems gal pasakyti, jeigu norite arčiau, yra nemažai laisvų vietų, tai manau ir mums bus arčiau jūs jaust ir be abejo jūsų pasirinkimas. So, hi everyone. By the way, we are live on YouTube. Maybe. Kaunas Literature Week is happening, and today we are having quite an unusual event because what we're going to do now is not so much talk about the writings of each of you, and you had different platforms for doing that. Now we are gathered here to discuss how our work, how writers' work actually reach people in the current media climate, what has changed, and how do writers live in this new environment that is very much driven by social media, by algorithms, when we don't really have a shared media space as we used to have. And before we went on stage, we were, just saying that it's pretty funny because all of us, we are not, as they say, extremely online people, far from that. And maybe that's why we are good people to talk about it, because maybe we need more skepticism. So that's where we're starting from. And actually, before I give the microphone to the writers, I want to share some words by Laurynas Katkus, one of the organizers of Kaunas Literature Week, who originally initiated the panel, and I think he's asking very important questions, and I want to read this for all of you. So these are Laurynas' words. It is widely agreed that in the last decades, social networks exert an ever-increasing influence on all aspects of our lives. How do writers and intellectuals treat this digital realm? Embrace it, ignore it, or fight it? What political and social tendencies do they see strengthened by social networks? How does it affect media and cultural landscapes, not least the production and dispersion of literary texts? Is the situation uniform everywhere, or are there differences between countries or generations? And finally, how do we, as individuals and as artists, navigate a world increasingly shaped by algorithms? Very big questions, very important questions. I feel we're going to discuss them in depth. And before we do that, I also remembered the article by philosopher Leonidas Donskis back from 2013. This is what he wrote, a short paragraph. If you are not online, technology shames you. Technology reminds you that you risk becoming non-existent, that you will soon be gone, that technology will turn you off, separate you. We usually talk about freedom, about the fact that we live in an era of freedom. But if I decide that I want to read books and not use the internet, I will not be able to work in the conditions of modern society. I will be forced and turned on by force. My communication will collapse, my academic life will collapse, absolutely everything will collapse. In other words, technology leaves no choice. I can, therefore I must. This is a kind of metaphysics of technology. Leonidas Donskis back in 2013. Okay, I will finish with the quotes, and now I want to hear from you. I want to start with Judith Zander, poet, writer, and translator from Germany, who is a fair thing to say, is not a very online person. And Judith, really, I want each of you, your thoughts on just to learn where are you coming from and how do you approach this topic of being a writer, of public intellectual in the age of current media ecosystem. How do you navigate it?
Well, I just navigated as myself, I would say. So, and I only can speak for myself. So, and where do I come from? Well, to start with, I come from the former GDR, and we didn't even have a telephone at home. So, from a very young age, I was used not to use some kind of technical connection to the outside world. But it was all very analogous, of course. And today, we talked about it a little beforehand, and I said that social media is quite far away from me. So the short answer is I don't use it, and never had to. And maybe I was particularly lucky in it, at least I consider this as a lucky circumstance, that I'm not, as you just quoted, forced to. And, this quote was a bit, horrifying for me and seems wildly exaggerated in a way. Well, if this is the reality for that person, I just pity for that, because if you're forced to that, in a way, I think it wouldn't be a meaningful life for me anymore. So this is more or less, what I think about that. So I'm not really against it. I just don't feel I want to be concerned with it because it costs a lot of time. And I feel I don't have the time to be online all the time or to sell myself by little videos or whatever people do. So maybe I'm quite an old-fashioned person and can still make a living on being that old-fashioned person.
Yeah, I also think it's not only about making a living, but also making an impact. Mm-hmm. How do you make an impact with your writing if a lot of where the conversation happening is it's there, and if you choose to ignore that world, how do you still make sure that well, your work reaches people, that you are being read, that the connection is happening?
Maybe this isn't the most important thing. So the thing for me is not to make an impact. Well, I have no control about it anyway. And for me, the important thing is to write books and to express myself. So this comes before everything else. And when you send us this email with the article, we haven't talked about this here. And
I will mention it.
Yeah, there was a sentence, or maybe some sentences about that writers always want to share their thoughts with the world, and so it seems quite contradictory that writers are reluctant to go online and do self-promotion there. And I thought it wrong in a way, because at least for me it's not on making that impact or share my thoughts with the world all the time, but writing for me is mainly about using language. And this is something very different. It is not so much content-based as these sentences in the article. So I'm missing the word now. They put it in a way that it was quite important to sell the content of what you are writing. And I don't feel that this is the way I approach things.
Yeah, I think because I come from a journalistic background, impact is what everyone is thinking about all the time, like what impact are you having? But you're right, as a writer, that's not exactly what your job basically is. And the article you're referring to, it was published at Vox Media in the beginning of last year. The author is Rebecca Jennings, and the story is called "Everyone's a Sellout Now," and it explores this new basically how every creator, a musician, a writer, anyone who is engaging in creative work is needs to become like a personal brand, and keep constantly pushing your own brand in order to have attention from the people. And one of the people quoted in that article said, basically what happens is that you are becoming less and less good at the thing you are at your art, but you are becoming better at promoting a thing that is worse because you can't invest so much time in it. And I'm glad to know that in your particular case, you don't need to play this game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to decide you can do only one thing at a time. Either you write on your novel, poetry or whatever, or you go online. So you have to decide every minute of the day. And for all of us, it has only 24 hours. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Judith. I want to move to Julia Cimafiejeva, yes, who is a poet and translator, originally from Belarus. Now, you, as I understand, you cannot live in Belarus for obvious reasons. For someone like you who is forced to be in exile, you have to be online because you cannot be physically with the people you want to reach. So I want to learn more about that. How does your situation makes you basically forces you to approach the I don't want to use the word marketing of your work, but more like reaching people.
Hello everyone. I'm coming from Belarus, and I would like also, like Judith, I would like to start from where I come from. So Belarus is the country that has been unfree for many years. And it means that the mass media is mostly controlled by the state. And I became online, let's say, maybe 2005, 2006, since then. And at that time already, we've had only few newspapers, paper newspapers, independent paper newspapers that were allowed to be published. But now we don't have any. So all the mass media, all the paper mass media is controlled in the country, and internet till 2020 has been so-called free world. So it was the world where you could discuss a lot of things, and you could mass media could share the news about true news or what was happening in the country, and not this propaganda. That's why, of course, you have to use the internet, and you have to read the news online in order to be aware of what is going in your country. Now it's even harsher. Of course, now, okay, but I will come back to that. And and also Belarusian literature actually existed and exists mostly online with no paper literary magazines allowed to be published inside of the country. I mean, independent literary magazines and so on and so forth. So most of the communication and most of the connections we have on the internet. So that's why I just have to be online and have to have social media. But now I know that I'm very old-fashioned, and not only old-fashioned, I'm very old because I'm using Facebook. And it's just like 19th century, I guess, for young people who are using TikTok. And that's something incredible for me. So in this case, I agree with Judith that I'm using this old Facebook, maybe a bit of Instagram. I'm actually registered on Twitter, but I'm not using it just to know where someone else is writing about me, yeah, because you can't you can't read it, but if you're not registered, that's the system also. Yeah. So now being in exile, of course, I'm using this to connect with my readers, to connect with my friends, with the writers, because we are scattered all around the world, and we can't meet just like that. I haven't seen my friends for many years, for example, but I'm following their life. I'm seeing their pictures. I'm following their events, and also reading the discussions about the literature that are possible mostly online on Facebook, for example. But there is another aspect of that now, after 2020, with social media in the Belarusian society. We have now people go to jail for putting a like, following some extremist page, because all the independent mass media pages, websites are found extremist. And it means if they stop you in the street, and if they check your phone, they can check your phone anyway, and they find that you liked a page, or you put a like to a page or a new piece of news posted by an extremist news channel, you go to jail. You can spend there 15 days or even more. And if they find a picture of you on Instagram from 2020, for example, when you were taking part in the protest, you will go to jail for several years, for example. So it means that this also, it's another aspect of being on the social media for Belarusians, as it is prohibited by the state. And so people also choose not to be present in this field of social media because they can be punished for that. So to some extent, this being on the social media is a kind of privilege. And for me, it's also, I would also prefer not to be on the social media. And so not being is also, I see, like a privilege. But I have to post, for example, an announcement that I'm taking part in the festival in Kaunas. So if there are any Belarusians, please come to my event. And then mass media in Belarus see that, Cimafiejeva posted, and Bakharevich, my husband and writer, the participant of this festival, posted this. Okay, they will take this information and post on their website, and then more people will know about that. So that's how it functions for me, for example.
Thank you for sharing it. And you're right. It's a very different world when you know that if your government can basically track you or what you're doing on social media. So, and do you use other networks like Telegram, or like are there any ways for you that works for you to reach people?
Well, of course, I hope I do not use all of them, you know, there are so many. But I go to Telegram, okay. I use WhatsApp. I use Viber, okay. I use Signal because there are people who are using this kind of Messenger in Facebook, Instagram, okay. Whatever.
Yeah, but I think I'm not talking about you as a just a regular person. Like we all live in those networks, not all of us, but as a writer, do you find it useful to be on those platforms?
Yeah, of course. I guess the most useful platform for me is Facebook, and I would say that that's the platform for the where Belarusian literature is living. I would say that there are a lot of authors that have their Facebook accounts. They communicate together, comment, fight, criticize, ignore, and so on and so forth. Mostly Facebook is this platform for us. Yeah.
Thank you, Julia. I want to hear from Martina Vidaić, writer from Croatia. And again, it was one of those funny moments when Lorina wrote an email to all of us and you said, "Oh, I'm almost famous in my country for not using social media." Well, but curious, tell us more about it. Was it a choice? What did it give you? And the same question: how do you make sure that people read your books, or maybe your publisher just takes care of that?
Yeah, my publisher just takes care of that. Yeah, hi everyone. I said that I'm kind of famous. It's almost like my Indian name, you know, like this one writer that doesn't use social media. I said that I'm famous because when I just started, when I got this Goran Prize for young poets, it's the most important award for young poets under 30 in Croatia. Then there was this interview in traditional newspapers with me, and the journalist found as very interesting that I don't have a Facebook profile, so he put it in a title, and then it became a thing, you know. I don't have it because I just when it became popular, or you know, when it just first started these social media, I was already an adult person, and I wasn't under so much pressure that I have to make a profile. And I just didn't feel the need for that, you know. I'm not a very social person. People who are around me, I can reach them anytime, you know, when I want. And for these other people, I don't know, from my high school or whatever, I just don't care, you know. I don't want to reach them. So it was, and I wasn't still a writer, you know, when it just started. So I didn't think about my the relationship between my writing and the social media. I just didn't even think about that. But later I did. I felt some consequences because I wasn't on social media. In one moment, even though I got in 2011, I got that Goran Prize for Young Poets, and my first poetry collection was published. For the first 7 or 8 years, I had a really hard time even publishing my next books. You know, I couldn't publish my third poetry collection for a long time, and also my first novel, which was written in 2016, and it was published in 2019 because I couldn't find a publisher for a very long time. Mostly because, you know, in Croatia, most of the publishers mostly depend on government support, grants from Ministry of Culture and all kinds of institutions. And I think when people don't know you, you know, they don't know your name, these people who are in these juries, they usually just they usually just don't choose you for this grant or something. You know, I didn't realize this because I was at first I was very naive. You know, I was coming from this small city. I was out of the center. In Croatia, everything happens in the Zagreb in center. It's a very centralized country, so I didn't know anyone. I was a complete outsider. I didn't know anyone in this culture field. So I just didn't know how the things function. I thought, okay, if if I'm good enough, then it should be enough, you know. But now when I'm more like an insider, I know how things function, and you know, it's not always just the quality of your writing, because this, you know, budget is usually limited, and then people usually choose someone that they know, you know, well-known names and so on. In one moment I just realized, okay, maybe it's not because I'm not trying too hard, because I'm not good enough. Maybe it's just because no one knows me, you know, because I'm not in the media enough, you know. Sometimes I refuse to give interviews if I think they're stupid or something, you know, like, yeah, I don't do some kind of interviews, you know, when I feel that these are more focused on me as a person, or this kind of branding that we mentioned earlier. I just want to be focused on my literature, the books, and it's usually, for most of the journalists, it's just very boring, you know. They can't do anything with that. Yeah, so it was just, I wasn't enough in the media, I think. Not just it's not just about social media, but you know, also traditional media, interviews and that kind of stuff. So I started to realize that's maybe a problem. And then for a while I did go through some kind of a personal crisis because of that. I was thinking, you know, maybe I should try harder. Maybe I should. Maybe it's just something that, you know, we have to do now. But I just couldn't. I mean, I'm just not that kind of person, you know. I'm an extreme introvert, and it's just against my nature to be so much in the media, especially to.
But you did do something.
Yeah. Well,
what did you do?
Well, I don't know, actually. I was lucky. I was just lucky. I don't know.
Did you create an Instagram
account?
account?
I was just lucky. I had some, there were some moments, you know, that were crucial. Just, I think, especially this last EUPL award, it was very important. And it just happened, you know, it wasn't, it had nothing to do with the media or anything. And some other things also. I think I met some people who really believed in my work and who are very influential in Croatian literature. So yeah, I think I had. We say in Croatia, you have imaš više sreće nego pameti. You are more happy than smart. You know, like you have more happiness than the brain. You know, so yeah. I think in the end it turned out okay for me, and I decided for myself that I just don't want that, especially. I mean, even though I'm not fundamentally against social media or something like that. I think even for literature, there are very positive sides of that. I think, especially for poetry, for example, in Croatia, there was in one moment there was a little renaissance of poetry, let's say, it became more popular because of the social media, you know, because there were some enthusiasts who were putting on their profiles some poems by, I don't know, Croatian poets or so on. So it became popular because it's very convenient, actually, for poetry, because you can read a poem, I don't know, on your lunch break or something. You know, it's a very convenient form for a poem. So I think it does, and for me personally also, maybe not social media, but being online or internet in general was very important for my poetry development, because I'm a poet too, and I started as a poet, and it was very important because I lived in a small city, and in the local library I couldn't find some books, for example, or I couldn't ask anyone, because there weren't a lot of people around me who were interested in the same things as I was, in the same kind of poetry, maybe, so I couldn't. I didn't have anyone to guide me in that direction. So internet was very useful actually for me, in order to discover some poets, to read some poetry that otherwise I would never be able to find. So yeah.
Definitely, but I think one of the reasons why we're doing this panel is at this time and age is that we feel that the internet is changing, and maybe I will now want to hear a perspective from Joel Haahtela, author and also psychiatrist from Finland, and the internet is not as it used to be. Now it's algorithms are basically deciding on what we see and what we don't see, and there's a lot of what we call confirmation bias. Basically, we see what we want to see, and we just get more and more extreme in that particular thing. And maybe I realize that now I'm asking questions more from psychiatrist perspective rather than the writers, but I'm curious, do you see that the way social media, the way current internet is designed is affecting us as a society on a bigger scale, and maybe in your own works, how they are perceived, how they reach or don't reach people? Are there any intersections, how the online world works from your perspective?
So, hi everyone. I could say something about the title, this individual and algorithm, because it says quite a lot. If you think about Western civilization, I think with the Enlightenment and humanism and the whole ethos, I think it's a story about the birth of the individual, and when the individual has been born in such way, it's also a birth of loneliness of an individual. So we live in a very urbanized world. There is a lot of fragmentation. This kind of spirit of community is gone. So I could say that we are like free-floating souls, fragmented individuals in these cities. And especially in Finland, I think the loneliness is a very big problem.
In the happiest country in the world,
yes,
right?
Yes, I don't know what they are measuring, but not the happiness. But everyone still has this urge to belong to something. We have an urge to belong. Even I think Martina and me, we are quite introverts, but we have an urge to belong to some community. And I think this social media and algorithm uses it, that urge, so that it's creating these ideological bubbles. Like you said, it's enchanting itself all the time, because it's a relationship. If we think about our existence, we are really related to ourselves and other people and to the world, but nowadays more and more this digital reality. And when we are part of that digital world, we are always giving something from us to that world, and it's using that information and creating these bubbles. So I think it can be very dangerous, and it's seen everywhere, this kind of bubbling. Is it hate groups, or maybe it can be something positive too, but there is a lot of these negative aspects.
As a writer, do you feel that it somehow affects your role in the society, that you feel that there are people you want to reach, but you just can't?
Well, I have to say that I was born in the 19th century, in the Romantic era. It was maybe 1827 or something. So I'm not in a social media. And the reason I tried it, but
Didn't like it.
It wasn't a success. So the reason is that social media makes me very restless, and it breaks my inner concentration and my experience of time. If you think about time, it's kind of, you can think it like externally. It's ticking its own pace all the time. But then there is also this internal time in us, and in books too. So it's kind of expanding and condensing, and there are memories and our illusions and everything what is happening inside us. And when we are living in this world where information is pouring all the time, so it's a very rapid world, and that information is it's breaking this coherence inside of all of us. At least it's happening to me if I'm a part of it. Of course, we are still part of the system, even if we try to get rid of it. But this is a way that I deny this social media from me. But it's the problem is that it's also affecting the writers. If you think about, again, Romantic era, the writer was a genius, writing in his own room and so on. But I think we have moved to the era of the readers. So they have a lot of power. And if you are a writer and you are checking all the time what's going on in internet, what is said about you, and all these discussions, which are quite unfair, because you write a book for many years, and there's a lot of pages, and somebody can say just with one sentence, I was very disappointed, it was a shitty book or something. I think it's quite unfair for the writers, but it's affecting us. So that I want to protect myself. I don't want to let the reader come to my room where I'm writing the books. Of course, when the book comes out, you have to do something maybe. But there are many ways to do something. You can give some interviews, and you can take part in readings and visit libraries and so on. But of course, it's a bit easy for me to say, because I have a long career. I have written books for 25 years, and I have this very stable readership. So I don't really have to show myself off all the time. But sometimes I think that it might be good to be a bit mysterious, because everybody is, showing themselves off and so on. So it becomes a bit interesting.
Does anyone want to add something to this, what we just heard? Sure, Martina.
No, I just remember one of the comments on Goodreads on one of my books. It was like, meh. In Croatian it means it means like, oh, whatever.
It's like one word. But if we talk about the readers, I really want to kind of turn the mirror on to the readers now, and I want the readers to hear it as well. And I mean, we are all readers as well. So it's interesting that so there's this there's Oxford University Press. Every year they ask people to vote on what they call Word of the Year. And you might have heard that this, like last year's Word of the Year was brain rot. And this is how they define the brain rot. Brain rot is defined as the supposed deterioration of a person's mental or intellectual state, especially viewed as the result of overconsumption of material, now particularly online content, considered to be trivial or unchallenging. Also, something characterized as likely to lead to such deterioration. Our experts noticed that brain rot gained new prominence this year as a term used to capture concerns about the impact of consuming excessive amounts of low-quality online content, especially on social media. The term increased in usage frequency by 230% between 2023 and 2024. And I will add some more. The first recorded use of brain rot was found in 1854 in Henry David Thoreau's book Walden, which reports his experience of living a simple lifestyle in the natural world. As part of his conclusions, Thoreau criticized society's tendency to devalue complex ideas, or those that can be interpreted in multiple ways, in favor of simple ones, and sees this as an indicative of a general decline in mental and intellectual effort. So, the discussions about brain rot started in the 18th century, but what we have now is a different level of it. And as writers, you always want readers who are engaged, who actually make an effort to shut down everything else, turn off everything else, and engage with your work, with your book, with your poem. Do you find that it's getting harder? And it's also, I guess, the question for readers, do you feel that is getting harder for yourselves? I remember myself when I was a kid, I would read a book like in 2 nights. Now it's getting harder to do that because you always feel like your attention span is getting weaker and weaker. And do you see that as a problem? I'm just curious to learn from your perspective as a writer and also as writers and also as readers. Maybe Judith, we can hear from you.
Well, it's hard to say because I can't look into the head of my audience, so I don't know what's going on there. And yes, but sometimes I think about sentences I write, if they maybe become too long or too complex, because I have the tendency to write long, complex sentences. But then I think, I don't care. So who doesn't want to read them doesn't have to. So, and I'm quite aware of that my books are not for everybody. I mean, almost no book is for everybody, but I'm aware of that there is not a broad audience for it, especially for my poetry. So, I mean, who reads poetry? So it's a very small and narrow path anyway. So, but this also gives you the freedom not to care too much. I mean, it's a bit different with novels. But still, I think I wouldn't refrain from writing complex novels with sentences that are longer than 3 lines, just because my audience expects it. So, yeah, as I said, I have no control about it, and I don't want to have any control about it. The important thing is that I want to read what I write. So in the first place, and then let's see if anybody else can enjoy it. And I also want to make a contribution against this brain rot.
Please do. Please do.
No, I mean with writing my work.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So this is my only means to to make a difference, I think.
Yeah, I think you're very, you as a real life example that it's possible to live this way and be happy and be, it's important to hear that. So thank you for being here.
I mean, I don't say that it's easy all the time, and I agree with Martina who said that the internet was very important for her. Yeah, for me too, and it still is, because I get a lot of information from it I wouldn't get otherwise. But there's really a line, I think, between using the internet or being and performing on social media. And this is really a different thing.
Definitely. Martina, Julia, Joel, do you have thoughts on this brain rotting of readers' minds? Julia?
Working? Yeah, now I see it. I would say that it seems to me that for me personally, this pace of reading maybe, or this desire to read on the whole, can be connected to the stress that I feel. When I'm stressed, so I can't read much. And for example, since 2020, almost for 5 years, I've been in great stress with this protests, violence, Russia, full-scale invasion of Russia into Ukraine, and so on. And you are reading this news, and you can't read much of literature. But now, recently, I've found out that I've thought maybe I'm dyslexic or something. But then a few months ago, I started reading, and I'm reading it and I can concentrate, and I guess maybe I'm just adopted to this constant stress, or it's not stress for me, so big stress for me anymore, I would say. So I say it like that. And if we speak about readers of poetry, of course, I agree with Judith that there are not so many of them, and you can't go into the social media and say, hey guys, read me please, or something. No one will read you anyway. So it's no way, but it gives you an opportunity, I would say, this social media, to find other poets, other interesting people, other people who are reading poetry, because poets read poets. I hope so, at least. Yeah, I hope you read in your comments. Yeah, so because it's a joke. Yeah, but on Facebook, I can find these poets from different countries, from Lithuania, from Ukraine, from Poland, and from Germany, of course. And I communicate also with these poets. Sometimes they post their own poems, and I can read these poems, and it makes my day brighter, for example. So I would say that I use this social media also for this kind of communication. Though, of course, I agree with you that there is a lot of stuff that I would prefer not to see and not to read and not to pay my attention to and not to be stressed by, and blah, 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 blah. So, of course, I feel this brain rot as well. But there are other things that are positive for me in using this social media.
Mm-hmm. Martina?
Well, I just when Judith said about these long sentences, I recalled this situation that happened I don't know, a few years ago. someone from I can't recall who, I think some journalist or something, sent in a form of manuscript, sent manuscript of by French Nobel Prize winner Claude Simon. He sent his manuscript to I think 12 different publishers, and they all refused to publish it because they said his sentences were too long, and that no one will want to read that. You know that there is no audience for that, and it's just too hard. That the audience can't have enough concentration to read it. So yeah, it is a bit strange. Yeah, I don't know. I also write very non-commercial things. Also poetry, which no one reads, and yeah. And I also write a kind of poetry, and there is a difference between also like this poetry that is more narrative, maybe with less metaphoric, that more people do read, let's say, and my kind of poetry that very few people read. And also my novels are pretty they're very poetic, so they also not something easy to read, let's say. Even though I see them, especially this last novel that was translated to Lithuanian now, I see it as a very light literature almost, but most of the people say it's very hard to read for them. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have kids of my own, and I don't work with kids, but I can hear from people who work as teachers, or that there are some problems now that they can see, differences between generations, and that concentration is just not as strong anymore as it was, and yeah.
Yeah, and I like this approach of writing things that maybe don't have much market potential, but they are important for you personally. It's almost seen as like part of somehow resistance. Like there's this quote by Naomi Klein, who herself, she's a big brand, we can argue. She said that neoliberalism has created so much precarity that the commodification of the self is now seen as the only route to any kind of economic security. Plus, social media has given us the tools to market ourselves non-stop. She was commenting on this idea that you have to keep on marketing yourself. So I like that sometimes you keep some space only for yourself, like writing things that are not supposed to be for a big audience. Jarl, from your perspective, also, I want your thoughts on, you kind of were already starting to talk about this, us consuming information and kind of, I don't want to use the word poisoning our minds, but kind of not being careful with our attention. Do you see that as an increasing problem, and how do you fight it? Maybe there are ways how we can protect our attention.
Well, if you think about levels of understanding, you could say that in the lower level there is information that is coming from everywhere, and on top of that there is knowledge. It's a bit more than information, and on top of that there is wisdom that is very rare. And we are living in this information-oriented world all the time. And I'm sure that because it breaks our inner concentration, so we are giving away our ability to concentrate. And of course, when we add the AI to that, we are giving away our ability to think. So they are very important things to preserve and protect: concentration and ability to think. because I think the very important, maybe the most important thing in literature is that it's making the world understandable. It's creating concepts because there are rapidly born different kind of phenomenon, and because world is moving so quickly, we don't have this time to think and form these concepts of the world and this phenomenon, and because it takes time, and if we are in this very rapid circle, so there will be a lot of misunderstandings, which we'll see in the internet and in the discussions there, and this fighting and so on. So this ability to think and just protect this time, and so create these concepts and our understanding of the world, it's a quite critical thing, and we writers are responsible to keep that thing going.
Yeah, protect our time. I like that a lot. I want to turn to the audience. From what you heard, did something speak to you, or maybe you want to oppose with what we heard? Maybe there are specific questions to our participants you want to ask. I see the hand there. Do we have a microphone somewhere? And would you please introduce yourself? Yeah.
Hello, thank you very much for the discussion. My name is Katrina. I have a 20th century profession, maybe journalism, which is a bit younger than writers, but I feel a lot of the same things that you are saying are relevant to journalists as well. My question would be about devaluation of the profession, or maybe devaluation of values in general, because it's so easy to pretend on social media, and I know real cases that people just get book deals for writing good Facebook posts, or people pretend they are cinematographers by making reels, and they get many more views than the real cinematographers that work with film, for example. People get thousands of views and subscribers by just speaking to each other with beer, and they're not journalists, and I could go on. Of course, if most of you don't use social media, you don't see that, and you're lucky. But still, my question is, how do you feel about that? Is there still space for real professionalism with social media unavoidable in our lives?
Yeah, the decline of professionalism. A writer as a profession. Who has thoughts on that? It's a crazy world out there. Don't go there. Martina, I feel you have thoughts. No. I think some of us has to talk. That's why that's what we have to do. Okay, let's think. I still will want an answer to this question, but I feel like we have a second question. Let's.
You won't get away so easily. I have actually two questions about common people. The most users of internet and the most users of social media are not writers, also not influencers, but just common people who are posting whatever they want, and having fun in it, and expressing themselves in this way. And I think somebody from you, was it you, Judith, talked about writers' basic motive, self-expression. Leaving aside the different complexity of that thing, writing and posting something on Facebook, some cats, or your grill party on Saturday, or writing something about your last journey or whatever, is it on some very basic level not more common thing than a different thing? So that's one question. And second question, don't you think the same man or woman posting cats and writing about his life and trying to look better in the social media than he is in the real life? Don't you think that's a very interesting source of material for literary writing?
Good question. Okay, I think Judith, you were mentioned by name, so you have to start.
Well, of course, I agree that on the positive side, you could say that it is very democratic, that everybody can say everything in public now, so because the internet is the public. And yeah, I feel I don't really have an opinion about this professional versus non-professional, because everybody has to decide for him or herself what he or she does. And to answer Laurina's, for me, I think it's not really a source, but I'm staring at it as a phenomenon I don't quite understand. So because I don't understand why people spend so much time with, in the end, as the article also said, it's bragging about yourself and presenting yourself all the time, and it's all about gaining attention. And I mean, yes, Joel said the title of our event here, the individual and the algorithm. I mean, maybe this comes with increasing individuality, that the feeling for yourself somehow increases with it, and you feel you have to present yourself. And on the other hand, there's a big insecurity. So because, well, I was thinking that another quality of literature is what it can give you is consolation. So you all said it explains the world in a way, or it tells you how the world works. And the other aspect, I think, is consolation. You can find yourself in it with all your being problems, whatever. And I think this is something the internet doesn't give you. So consolation is really far, but it gives you constant distress. So, and maybe this is the movement against it, to present yourself all the time, because you have to reassure yourself all the time because nobody else does it. Because traditional social networks are, as you also said, breaking down.
So just clarify I understood this correctly. So you're saying that some people go to online spaces to kind of have validation that, hey, what I'm writing is actually good. There's someone out there who likes this, and that gives like more meaning to continue working. And you're saying that we need other means, other platforms for that, because social media is pretty toxic.
Yes, it's not only about writing, but about your whole life. I still refer to this article because it made me really think. These so-called day in the life videos. So people are doing something professionally or not, and then besides it, they present their lives. So how they do things or how they go about their day. And this is something that is really strange to me. Because when I'm at home, I'm very happy about being at home and not being in the public and to have to justify myself all the time. So for what I am doing, and to be on my own. But maybe people don't feel this need anymore to be for themselves, or it makes them sick in a way, or they fear to be alone. I don't know.
So we have three questions, right? One is about what do we think about those authors who get book deals because of their because the algorithm loves them, basically. And do you feel that your profession is somehow devalued by it? That was one question. Another was, do you find the whole online space, algorithm-driven space, do you find inspirational? Do you want to create characters in your own stories driven from that? And the middle question, the first question from Lorinas, I think I cannot rephrase that one, so let's stick to these two. Julia, does that speak to you? Do you have thoughts?
Well, I would agree with Judith that that's democracy. That's how it's working. So what you can, it's from this romantic story, from the Romanticism, that there is this writer on the clouds and he's writing with a feather on the paper with ink, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but it's not working like that. There are poets that post on Facebook and they get millions of likes and they get these book deals. But what shall I do? Shall I disapprove of that? Shall I say, okay, shall I write on my Facebook that that's such a bad poet, or then what's out of that? Okay, yeah. I will read those poets that I like and not this Rupi Kaur, for example, or someone else, yeah. So I understand that there is this problem, and I understand what you mean by also you, like a journalist, that there is this problem with journalism because I would say it's a bit different from literature, because you are trained to be a journalist. Yeah, you have this university degree, but to become a writer, to become a poet, you do not have to have a university degree in poetry or creative writing. You don't have to do that. Anyone can do that. And it only depends on your talent and your concentration and your persistence and so on and so forth. And I wouldn't say that poets would cry out that there are unprofessional poets or something like that. Maybe that's why, I don't know about your opinion, but I guess you can agree with me. That's why we don't know what to say to this question also, because it's like that. And the second, the question, I guess I understood the question by Laurinas, that posting posting cats and posting poems, it's like the same, yeah? Don't you think that it's like the same, yeah? What you're saying on social media? Maybe we didn't get the message.
Okay, yeah, I thought I might expand it a little bit. I mean, that this self-expression is the core of both writing and just simple social media or whatever writing. And it has other forms. It might be more complex, it might be very simple, but it's still the basic impetus is the same. You know, think if suddenly all the libraries and the publishing houses and the cultural newspapers disappeared, you know, that would hurt you. So the same feeling has these people who are posting something on Facebook, you know, and if you know that's their channel of expression. So my question was that perhaps there is more. The core is common than separate of both simple social media posting and literature writing.
But do you think that only self-expression lies in the core of literature? Then I can post my selfie and get more, and I can get much more likes than posting my poem, you know? I've checked a lot of times. You can have red lipstick, okay, yeah, like that. It works, yeah, when I feel a bit frustrated during the day, no one is reading my books, okay, post your photo, yeah, but it's not the same, it's not like, I put much more effort into the poem and I put much more wisdom, like you say, into the poem. It's not the same posting cats and posting a poem and writing a poem and posting it. I wouldn't say that it's the same. It's not only self-expression, of course, it's, yeah.
Maybe though, there are like a lot of ways how you can photograph your cat. And it can be very artistic.
Yeah, only then. But most of the people posted it the same way, and it works anyway. Cats work anyway.
Yeah. Judith, you wanted to add something?
Yeah. Wanted to add something because, yes, maybe it's not all about self-expression, but it is an aspect, but there is a difference, I think, because if you want to express yourself in literature, you have to manage language. And second, if you want to express yourself in that way, you have to know something about yourself. You have to know in a way who you are. And if you just post a cat content photo or whatever, it doesn't cost you much. So well, I feel that people are posting so many things. It's with the aim that the others tell them who they are. So it's not about expressing themselves, but it speaks of inner insecurity, I have the feeling. So because they need this audience to get some reaction and to conform to their self and to give them an idea of who they are in this world. So maybe this is a bit one-dimensional, but I think there is the line between it.
Martina, do you have something to add?
I mean, actually, I don't mind if someone, started on Facebook as a writer, just if someone, I don't know, started to publish his or her poems or short stories as a part of Facebook status or some other, I don't mind it. If it's good enough, I think it can become a book. And there is actually an award established in Croatia for literature on social media. Yeah, I think it's actually officially the first one in the world. So, and some pretty good books were actually published after that. And it's not that through some traditional channels. I can say that only very good books are published. Like there are many ways to publish a book. So sometimes people publish it because they know someone in a publishing house, or because I don't know, it's something that just people like, generally, or something like that. So it's like I think we just can't do anything against that. You can just do your thing, and it's like that. The other question, what was the other question? It was about the theme. It is interesting topic for writing. Well, for me, not particularly, because I think it's pretty simple thing. I mean, in a psychological way, for me, it doesn't have so much layers. It's psychological explanation why someone is, I don't know, too much on social, why someone is using it too much is just for me too simple, and it's not
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not interesting for me at the moment. I don't know why.
I feel there are examples.
Maybe I'll think about it after this. Yeah.
I don't know that many examples from literature, but like from filmmaking. Films like Her, for example, was a really interesting exploration of like a person kind of making friends with, become literally like becoming in love with like a AI character. Now we have this new Netflix show about the young man, boy, really kind of turning into very like the whole online rabbit hole. I forgot the name of that one. Adolescent? No, yeah. So I feel like in cinema, it is a theme. Maybe there are examples of literature that I'm not aware of. But I see you have a microphone.
Yeah, I just wanted to say about this, like a topic. I would say that it has been done before, and it has been done long time ago. For example, if we take art, it's Cindy Sherman and her portraits with these women, like trying to be better, trying to be more beautiful than they are, and so. I think that just not a new topic. We've been with this topic for 20 years more, and so it's not. I agree with Martina that it's too simple. Maybe, yeah.
It's predictable, like
Yeah,
you know what will happen. He or she will fall in love with the AI. That's it.
That is true. Jarl, do you have thoughts? Something to add?
Just that, of course, everyone wants to be accepted, and we become alive, and we become a person in the look of another people. That's the way of our existence. And but in Facebook, social media, that look. That real human look is kind of, or maybe the reaction to some post, it's a replica of that look. And the problem is that it passes away very quickly. And then you have to, repeat it again and again to feel alive. And to another question, I think it's the some kind of a very basic tension in our life. So what is it to be authentic person? And on the other hand, being somehow false self. And it's something that it's a conflict where we have to live we all have to live our lives in that conflict. Well, maybe you as poets, you know yourself, and it's you have a more stable feeling about yourself. And but for many people, it's very vague. It's not clear. And it's a constant battle. What is it? What does it mean to be authentic or false? And in social media, it's very easy to create. It's a temptation where you can create that kind of a false self. But of course, it's also something that will pass away. It will not last because it will reveal. At some point. So, yes.
Do we have more questions? We still have around 7 minutes. I think we can do a couple. Yes. And please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Gerda, and I'm really happy to be here, and it's a pleasure to listen to you all, so thank you. I would like to come back to the question about the brain rot and attention deficit. I just had this thought, and it would be interesting to hear your thoughts about it. Could we see books, literature, poems, novels as a cure from brain rot and this difficulties with attention? Because I myself see it that way.
Can you explain a little bit more? How do they work for you?
Yeah, like just intentionally sitting and reading that long sentence. It helps my attention, so maybe it is like a medicine for it. It can be like it.
Yeah, maybe the books are the cure. Okay, let's think about it for a second. Can we have a second question? Okay, while we're thinking. Oh yeah, we have a hand there.
Hello, I wanted to ask, do you think you are missing out on things due to not being on social media or more mainstream social media in the case of Julia?
Okay. So 2 questions. First, do we see the books as the cure for the problems that algorithms and social media create? And also, do you feel like you're missing out on something by not being in this world? I feel like there was a question for Julia, but I think we can.
No, the question from you was whether I would like to be on TikTok or something. No, I'm not missing.
Okay, we got the answer.
To answer the first question, very short. I mean, a cure only works if it is applied. So it doesn't. It's not enough that books exist, but they also have to be read. And this is the question: so how do we bring people to actually read books? And I don't know if we can really bring them to read books, or if it has to be an internal will to do so. And maybe this is again the question if we should perform on social media or not. So if we could bring people by social media to actually read books, I'm not sure about it.
Maybe I can ask you.
Yeah.
Maybe I can ask you, how do you personally use this cure? Like, you have to decide, okay, there's a book, there's like 10 books, there's a limited of time that I have. How do you save your time? How do you just put everything away and actually become a good reader?
There's no way in saving time, I think, so, because I mean, this is a strange concept. Like, you could save time like money in a bank account, so and you can't do that. Time just flows away, and sometimes I don't have the time to read, and then, well, I just try to accept that, and I can only read 1 or 2 books at a time, and change in between them. And I only, well, at one point I decided I only read what I want to read. I don't want to feel obliged to read something because everybody else reads it, or one should have read it once in your life, and so on. And I don't follow through books all the time. So if I realize I don't like it in the middle of the book, I put it away. And so I think this is the only time you can deal, the only way you can deal with this overwhelming amount of books nobody can read in their lifetime. So what was the other part of the question? I forgot.
The question, if you are missing out by not being...
The answer is no, because otherwise I would make an effort to be on social media, but I'm not. And well, I think this fear of missing out mostly appears when you are already engaging in this kind of stuff. So, which gives you the constant feeling of, oh, there is something, there is something, there is another something. And I can't have it all in my life. So then you get this fear of missing out. But if you are not confronted with it, so what are you missing?
I want to hear other perspectives as well. Do you see that books can be a cure of our attention deficit problems? And if I guess we agree with that, but like, how do you apply them? Are there any strategies that the readers can take? Maybe something that works for you personally? And also regarding fear of missing out, of the whole conversation, of not being part of the conversation happening online. Maybe Joel, we can start from you this time, so you're not the last one all the time.
Yes, I will give a short and cryptic answer. But my favorite philosopher is French Henri Bergson. He lived over 100 years ago. But he once said that if God created the world so that he had a ready idea in his mind, and then he made it a ready world, it was not creation. So creation happens always in time. And I think writing books and reading is preserving time and creation. So it's a very big treasure.
Thank you. Martina, what do you think?
I have nothing special to add, actually. I agree with things that were said, yeah. I think it can help, definitely, with your attention deficit. But, I mean, it depends. I don't know. It's just, yeah. I have nothing special to say about that. Yeah.
It's okay. We've been talking for 90 minutes already. Julia, any last words regarding what?
Yeah, I agree that maybe not literature is cure, but some texts can be cure for you, I guess. So special texts, poetic texts, for example, can be this cure for me that give me strength and that get me back my concentration. And it's not only about long sentences, so you don't have to write long sentences, but there can be the whole coherent world in a poem. And it helps you also to get this concentration while seeing this world, while perceiving this world. And yeah, it helps you become coherent again, I would say, maybe. Maybe it's very too idealistic, maybe it's unreal, but I'm just like thinking about that it can work for me like that. Yeah, and it sometimes works.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for, I guess. Thank you so much, all of you, for all the time. I want to ask for a round of applause for Judith Zander, Julia Cimafiejeva, and Martina Vidaić and Joel Haahtela, writers, poets, public intellectuals, not a fans of social media. Don't follow them on social media. And thank you, of course, for the Goethe-Institut and Perspectives Project and Kaunas Literature Week for hosting us. Thank you, Laurynas, for initiating the conversation and the whole team of the festival. We are really happy to be here. My name is Karolis Vyšniauskas. Talk to you off the mic. Okay, bye.